Hey everyone, it's Cindy and welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate having you here with me. If you haven't already, do please consider subscribing to my channel to make sure you don't miss out on any of my videos. I post at least once a week, sometimes a couple of bonus videos thrown in, and they're all about this feel-good stuff. Lots of tips, practical things you can put into practice, and all sorts of cool stuff that you might not learn somewhere else. So today's video is a replay of Feel Good Friday, which takes place every single week on my Facebook page at 9:30 AM on a Friday, and this one is from the 18th of August, and the subject is actually the top challenge for business mums in the school holidays as voted for by the lovely people over on my page, and that is how to stop feeling like a failure when you can't get everything done in the school holidays and there just isn't enough time. So if that's something you're interested in, then do keep watching and I'll see you on the other side. Hey everyone, it's Friday, so that means it's Feel Good Friday, a bit later than usual because we did have a first attempt this morning at 9:30 and unfortunately it was not transmitting to Facebook correctly, and so there's nothing to watch. So here I am to have another go, take two at Feel Good Friday for today. And today we're going to be talking about, I'll be showing some tips actually for mums with businesses or in jobs who find it really hard in the summer holidays when their kids are off and feel like a failure because they can't get everything done. And I've been there, my kids are all grown up now, but I can definitely remember when my children were younger and having to struggle with everything during the holidays. And the reason I'm talking about this topic today is because I've had a survey out, a poll on my page for the last week and a bit, and had some mums fill it in. And this was the topic that came out top, and so that's why we're going to talk about it today. And the winner of the prize draw, which is the reward for filling in the survey, will be announced at a later time here on my page, so look out for that. So we quite often have a lot of stress in the school holidays, and we have a lot of things that we feel like we have to get done. So what I'm going to be doing is really helping with that to help you clarify some stuff and to prioritise and all that kind of thing. So we'll get into that in a minute. So that's why we're talking today about about feeling like a failure when we haven't got enough time to get everything done. It's because of the survey. So this isn't going as well as it did this morning. This is annoying. Anyway, let's get on with it. So if I haven't met you already, my name's Cindy Davis and I'm the Feel Good Coach, and I work with business mums to help them to be more successful by finding out little ways that they might be holding themselves back through fears and whatnot, and helping to eliminate all of that stuff really quickly and easily so they can be more successful, earn more money, have more free time, more time with family, and have more fun. And so that's why I'm talking about this stuff today. I specialise in working with mums. My aim today is to give you some really practical tips that you can follow through with straight away to help you let go of this false idea that you're a failure, and also to sort of shift up your mindset a bit and help you to organise yourself. And I'm going to do that with a three-pronged attack. The first one is we're going to have a big old brain dump, but I'm going to teach you a special way of doing it that makes it super effective. We're going to do some prioritising. So you might have already heard of this technique, you might not, but we're going to be doing some prioritising so you can make the most of the time you do have. And we're going to be talking about that idea that you're a failure, because you are not a failure, and we're going to explore that in a little bit. So that's the introduction. Let's move on to part one, which is the brain dump. So most of us are familiar with the idea of having a brain dump, of just dumping everything on a piece of paper. Hi Libby, I see you've just joined. So when we're doing a brain dump, most of the time we'll get a notebook and we'll just scribble down all the things that we need to get out of our heads. And that can be really effective. It gets it out of your head, but once it's in a list, it's quite difficult to organise because you can't really move things around. You've got to rewrite things, and it's a bit of a pain. So the way I like to do it is with post-it notes. So I'll just grab a bunch of post-it notes. You can have different coloured ones if you want, not for categorising, but just for just because they look pretty. And so what I like to do is I stand by a wall or a window or like a glass door or something that's easy to stick things on. And then I would just start to write down everything that's in my head. And some of that stuff will be to-dos and things that I've got to get done. Some of it will be perhaps goals, things I want to achieve. Some of it might be things I need to take care of, like I need to have a conversation with somebody. So it's not really a to-do, but it's on my mind. So I'm getting everything that's on my mind out onto Post-it notes. I'm going to do a separate Post-it note for each thing, and thing being a technical term. Put a separate thing on each piece of paper, stick it up on the wall, and keep going for as long as you can. So in my experience, what happens is you'll start out and the ideas, everything will be coming really quickly. So you just keep writing, scribble it down, stick it up on the wall. And then it'll start to slow down a bit, but stay with it. Keep thinking about the different areas of your life. So work, business, kids, relationship, the house, all the different areas that might need some attention. And just keep looking for all the different things that have been on your mind. You're trying to get all of that stuff up from all the different crevices where it's been going round and round and round and taking up your energy and getting it onto Post-it notes. Because the thing is, all this stuff's going on in your mind all the time and sapping up your energy and making it even harder for you to get everything done. So by getting it all out onto Post-it notes, it's actually going to calm your mind down a lot and help you to be able to manage it all. You can kind of wrangle it all once it's out on paper. So that's the first step. And then when you've done that, give yourself permission to take a break from it and do something else. Go and spend some time with the kids or get on with something in your business. Whatever it is you have planned, just go and get on and do something like that, or go and paint your nails, whatever you like. But give yourself a little break, because what's going to happen then is you will start to remember other things that have been on your mind, other things that you need to get on the Post-it notes, and just keep adding them to the wall. And that in itself is a really powerful tool for getting yourself feeling less overwhelmed when you've got a lot to get done. Because the trouble is, we keep it all in our heads, and it'll just keep occurring to us over and over again. So you keep going, oh gosh, I must go to the bank. And then you go make a cup of coffee, and then you sit down, you do a bit of work, and you go, oh yes, I must go to the bank. And then you go and see to the kids, and they need the telly sorting out, or they're having a fight about something. You go and sort the kids out, and then you're like, I must go to the bank. And so every time you're thinking about that, it's just taking energy and also making you feel a bit more anxious about it because you haven't done it yet. And so by getting it down on a Post-it note, that takes away that kind of recurring thought. Okay, so then what you're going to do, you've got all your Post-it notes up on the wall. You've had a little break from them. You've maybe filled in a few extra ones. Then what you do is you go to your wall and you come up with like a couple of categories. So one could be goals and one could be to-dos. That would be a really simple thing. So just separating them into goals, which is like things like longer term things I want to achieve. By X date I want to have accumulated X amount of money, or by X date I want to have decorated the living room, or whatever it is. That's a goal, or a project. You could think of it as a project. And the other side is all your to-dos, all the little things on your to-do list. So that might be the categories you choose, or whatever works for you, but just kind of separate them out a bit. Start to get your to-dos separate from the other stuff, things that maybe have been on your mind or bothering you. So once you've got your to-dos, you need to look at each one and just work out whether it's just a single action or whether it will take more than one action to do it. So for instance, I've just got off the phone with my lovely friend Hazel, who is my accountability partner in terms of just general life and getting things done, but also with business. And we ring each other each week and hold each other accountable for a couple of actions each week. And there's been something I've been struggling to get started with, and I think half of the reason for that is that it was just kind of like quite a broad thing. It was to send out an offer to a certain group of people, and I'd written it down as that, and it was just too broad and I was struggling to get started. So I've broken it down into the first action, which is to actually get clear in my mind about what the offer is and get it on paper. So that's the first action. Once I've done that, it's going to be a lot easier for me to then to move on to the next steps. But because I'm doing a video, just because this is live, now you know that my husband's just come home. Where was I? So because I was trying to look at it as like a whole thing, I just couldn't get started. So I'm always one for breaking things down into the smallest part. And so the smallest part from my goal or my project was to do this one thing, get clear about the offer. So look at each of your to-dos and your post-its and just separate them out into what is one thing, like call so-and-so, or what's a project. And you can just write A for action and PR for project, so that you know that you can't just write the thing that's a project on your list and expect yourself to be able to do it. You need to break it down into the smaller actions. That's a really good starting point. So what you should have now is a section of post-it notes which are not to-dos, and you may want to look at in some other way. Then you've got a bunch of to-dos that are separated into single actions and things that will be more than one action. So like decorating the lounge, that would be an action, whereas that would be a project, which is made up of lots of actions, whereas calling the bank would be one action. So those are how to separate it. I hope this is clear. If not, do comment below and I will try my best to clarify and somehow. So that's part one, doing the brain dump, getting everything that's on your mind out onto post-it notes. And once they're on post-it notes, you can move them around and do stuff with them. So that's what we're going to look at next in part two, which is about prioritising. So I have a method of prioritising that I like to use. There's quite a few different ways you can do this. This is the one I use the most often and is the most ingrained in me, but then obviously you can find lots of ways of prioritising. So what I like to do is to draw it up like this. So it says urgent, important, in case you can't read my writing, urgent and important, and then not urgent or important. And I'll get into what these other things are in a minute. So you can draw out a matrix like this, a nice little grid, and then you get your post-it notes from the wall and you decide, get that on camera, so you decide this thing that I've written on here, call the bank, is that urgent? Does that need to be done like very, very soon? Might not be. Is it important? Probably. So you put it in the important section, okay? Is it urgent? So if you had to call the bank and it was important and it had to be done by the end of today, you'd put it in this section here. And decorating the lounge, which is a project and would need breaking down into actions, you know, that could go in important, but it might not be urgent, unless it was coming up to Christmas and you had lots of people coming and you wanted it to be nice for Christmas and it was the end of November, then it might be urgent and important. Is that making sense? I hope it is. Okay, so that's what you do. You get all your post-it notes and you categorise them into those four things. So this, where am I? This one here, not urgent or important, this is actually a vital part to do. So when you're going through your actions, your to-dos, you need to be looking at, is there anything here that isn't urgent or important? And if there is, why am I doing it? Ask yourself that question, because if it's not urgent and it's not important, is it really something that needs to be done? So can you ditch it? Is it something that you can, hang on, where's my hand? It's all back to front. Can you ditch it? Is it something that you can just get rid of? Is it something that's no longer relevant? You've left it long enough that it's become irrelevant, or you kind of thought you should do it, but you don't really feel like doing it. It doesn't feel right. Or you just have to let it go because you don't have enough time. So that is what you can do, is decide to ditch it. And then another one on here is delegate. These are the 3 Ds, delegate. And so you might decide that you can delegate this to do over to someone else. And that someone else could be, for instance, in your business, you could get a virtual assistant or someone to help with your social media, or you might bring on an accountant. There are lots of people who can do roles within your business and take some of the pressure off you. But you might also want to delegate to a partner. You might be, need to actually pass over some of the housework jobs to your partner, or there may be things that you can get the kids to help with, so you might get them to clear up their own stuff or give them little chores that they can do. And kids from quite a young age can do quite simple chores, so there are maybe things that you can get the kids to take some of the pressure off you as well. And it's not about slave labour, it's about actually everyone in the family working together. So you might want to think about that. And the other thing is to ask for help. You know, maybe you've got a friend you could ask for help to give you some more time. so that you can get stuff done. Or you might be able to ask a friend to help to complete one of your to-dos. Another thing when you're thinking about these not urgent or important ones is this something I should have said no to in the start? Is this something I should have sat back and thought, this is not something for me to do. This is not working for me right now. And should I have said no to it? Not from a place of, now I can beat myself up for not saying no to it, but from a place of being aware that when someone asks you to do something, saying no is always an option. It's not something that us mums are very good at a lot of the time, but it is an option. So, and that then reduces a lot of this not urgent or important stuff that happens. Okay, so once you've got your post-its all sorted into these different categories, urgent being something probably quite small that you can do quite quickly, but needs to be done right now. Important would be something that needs to be done but doesn't have to be done right now, but it is important and you don't want to falling off the list. And then you've got your urgent and important. That could be things that they do need to, usually things that were up here in the important category, and then we left them, we didn't get round to them, and now they've become urgent because they need to be done by the end of the week or whatever. So the urgent important is kind of like the firefighting place that a lot of us are in a lot of the time. So the aim is to actually have most of the things in these top two, urgent or important. And then the urgent ones you can kind of fit in between other stuff. So you might be able to ring the bank while your child is at a play date. You might be able to ring the bank while your child's at a swimming lesson or something. So that it could be something that you can, doesn't take a lot of your attention or a lot of thought process, but you can just sort of slot it in. Those are your urgent tasks in there. And then your important ones are ones that you need to schedule some time for. So you get your diary out and you write down exactly when you're going to do that. So you don't say, I'm going to do that on Friday. You say, I'm going to do that at 9:30 on Friday, and you put it in your diary and you hold yourself accountable for doing it at 9:30 on Friday. And that's how we stop these things ending up down here. And that's how we make sure that we don't end up firefighting. So that's how to use this prioritization system. I hope that makes sense to you. Once you've got all your post-it notes in here, it's a good idea to have a regular time when you look through all of your post-it notes and process them. Is this still relevant? Do I still need to do this? Have I done it? You know, check it away or put it somewhere else so that you can track what you've done. Has more stuff come in? So obviously when we're going through lives, more to-dos come in. So we need to make a note of them on a post-it note and add it to our list. So it's about getting ourselves into that routine of keeping that updated with all the new stuff. Otherwise, we're going to end up, once again, here in this urgent, important firefighting place. And we don't want to end up there again. So that's it. You know, you've only got a limited amount of time. It's the school holidays. You're just not going to be able to get as much done as you would at other times. You've got to accept that some things are going to have to take priority over others. And those other things, you might be able to defer them for later. That was the third D I haven't mentioned yet. Defer them for later, wait till the kids have gone back to school and then do it. Or you might be able to just not do them at all because you decide they're not important. Or you might be able to get someone else to help you. But at the end of the day, you only have so much time in the day. So prioritize what needs to be done and schedule it in and make sure it happens and ask for help. So that's part 2. That's all about prioritizing, and I hope you find that really useful. Now we are going to move on to part 3, which is all about this feeling of being a failure. And now I can say, I don't know you, I'm not sat with you right now. Well, maybe I do know you, but I'm not sat with you right now. But I do know that you're not a failure. You're definitely not a failure. Take it from me. And so sometimes we feel like a failure, and the only reason we feel that way is because of the things we've been telling ourselves about what we have or haven't done. And that's the only reason. So you've got to look to your thoughts, and it's your thoughts that are making you feel that way, like a failure. I should have got more done by now. I should have been able to get all of these things done. I can't get as much done as I normally do, and that's not good enough. All of that stuff is what makes us feel like failures. So what I want you to do is to grab a piece of paper or a notebook, and I want you to write at the top of it, my achievements. And then I want you to write every single thing you've achieved in your life. right from when you're a child all the way up till now, and it should take you a good 20 minutes to have a good think and pull up all these things that you've achieved. So for instance, if you've got kids, then you've had this achievement of bringing life into the world and keeping them alive all these years, and they're probably healthy and happy, so that's an achievement. You've managed not to chuck them out when they've been really annoying. You've managed to deal with all kinds of things that has happened with them. If you've got a business, that's an achievement. If you have clients or a product and you've sold some, that's an achievement. If you have created a Facebook page for the first time, that's an achievement. If you have made videos, that's an achievement. If you drive, that's an achievement because you've learned how to drive a car. So many things you have achieved. There is no way on this earth you are a failure. Okay? So that's what I want you to do. Write down all your achievements. Part 3, quick and simple. Let's move on. So we've talked about that. Let's move on to the summary. I want to pull it all together for you so that you can be really clear about what's going on today and what you've got to do. So we have done a brain dump. I've explained to you exactly how you can do a brain dump in the most efficient way, is to put it all down on post-it notes so that you can wrangle it, move it around, do stuff with it, which you can't do with it if you've just written it on a list. We've talked about segmenting it just a little bit so that you can get clear about how long things need to take and whether you need to schedule some time for them. Then in part 2 we looked at prioritising, and I showed you this wonderful grid which I will put a picture of in the comments so that you can copy it in case you can't remember how to do it. And it's very simple. We've talked about how to divide your tasks, your to-dos up in that grid. And then lastly, I have told you that you're not a failure, but I've also given you a little tool to help you realise how much you are not a failure, and in fact how much of a massive success you are, and how you are succeeding every day and achieving every day so much. And once you've got that list of achievements, you can add to it every single week or every month. You can spend some time adding to that list because you are achieving things every day and you can be proud of that. So my aim today was to give you some practical tips and to kind of up your mindset a bit around this kind of feeling of failure about not being able to get everything done, and to let go of this false idea that you're a failure, because you're definitely not. And I hope I've achieved that today twice because this just did not work this morning. So I hope you found it useful and that you can catch it even though it's not the normal time. If you would like to do a bit more on this, I have an online course called 7 Days to Tame Your To-Do List, which incorporates these 2 tools plus some extra stuff that is really useful for mums and for people who aren't mums, but it is especially aimed at mums. If you would like that, I will put a link in the description box and you will be able to click on that and get access to those emails. It's an email a day for 7 days and it gives you all these tools and more. So it's been great to talk to you. The next Feel Good Friday next week will be on whatever came second in the survey, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll be talking about that. It's something to do with holidays and kids and businesses and stuff. So look out for that. Have a fabulous weekend and a fabulous week until I speak to you again next Friday. Take care. Bye-bye. So I hope you enjoyed the video and that you found it useful. There's some real practical things in there that you can do for yourself to help you make the most of the time you do have and make sure that you're really focused on what's important and prioritising what you do. And remember, you are not a failure, no way on this earth. No way. So keep reminding yourself of that fact whenever that thought pops up. Next week's video over on my page will be all about how to structure your time effectively so that you can get the most done. And it's a great next step after doing this prioritization that we've done in today's video, and it is the number 2 challenge as voted for by the lovely mums over on my page. If you'd like to join me live, then you'll need to be on my Facebook page, which is the Feel Good Coach, at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, Otherwise, you can catch it on the replay, or I will share it here for you on, I nearly said on Facebook, we're on YouTube right now. I'll share it here for you on YouTube so that you can just get it whenever you need it. And if you've subscribed, and especially if you've clicked the little bell, notification bell, then you'll be informed by YouTube when I upload it. So thank you for joining me. Have a fabulous, fabulous day, and I'll speak to you in the next video.